اليوم كلان شعبو حدا شعو كسمينة تحرستو لتيو لايف لتيو حايو أم صعورو ضيفو غلبة ميقرو بلكي إش غلبة سريوي بنقصو بألمانيا وبوريفي بلكي شلوشمين عليه إلو فرسوفو غلبة ميقرو يذيعو وبوزا بنانو قامو ثينا بيشحثت كتيو قامو ثينا سمينا انترفيو متقنو كل خوغ مفصوحوتو تكتلن فرسوفو بشكل أنا بندو عاميدا كتيو حفيتو بمع تروي فرعو غلبة نقوصو كيتو سري حفيتي إيبي وكتيو سنة فرسوفة كروحم وعامو بو نقوصو كحزينة بو إشمو دي فرما دمركولت كروحم كتلي رحم ثلو عامو سريويو وموقع غلبة فسيحوينو بو ضيفيدا قابي حنا أهلا وسهلا اللي تحرس أيضا بشينو
تودي أندرياس تودي.
قابي ميقم مشارينا مشغولين ألو شغلي ذو وألي فرما ألو عوضود ماركولوخ هاتو كومانو أحونو خيولو إنو فودو ميقم مشارينا باو كوبعنا هاوسن سمينا لبو انجليشو متيقنو توتريو ميذا عبرينا لو خاطروي مملوت كتو غلبة تكنيك بود مشارينا بقامة بسريو محكت لن قابي حنا منيو ايكو مودات بودينا ايكو مودات يعلمو ثيدوخ يشبرو ثيدوخ ايضا بو فايتو ومن هابي بحايدو قاموي ان بوزبنو قاموي دي نعمو ثيدوخ سملة تاثير على حايدوخ بالزودو
تودي أندرياس نقحريتو وغلب في صحوين توينو عميحو و أونو جابي حنا هاوينو نقا كمانو الحوروني احنا مبالش لن أونو عمري لا تحمش وربيشني عمرا نشتلفوشني مبالش لن ما يشتلفوشني بيارون قادشتو مالحلن بألفوشناني هاوينا بألفوشني شابا علينا بي بي بوايز الله بيقدر دالهم طاولنا أشناني كل فيشنا بيرعاثة إي عائليدي في إحنا معصري بمو مسريو يلي نافقي موسيفو قادرين عايشين بثر موسيفو جدي هي وحوني وبردو عمو بثر موسيفو وميدان حدسريو يكولي فايش عمينا بلا بينا وطنلن إي مسؤوليات عمينا وكنا قفيشو عمينا وبنفس دو وقت كو فيش عمينا انه احنا منا ما اشتلفوشناني اول حضارة ببريثو سملن كمان لقطو عينا وميدانو ياروينا بي قامشلو اللهم من عملي علي غلبة توينو أبرد دلياسو سيدة حنا عويل الغلبة فرص بحايدي أونو طامط قدرنا حزينو بابي من سملة توي وأم الفون رابو إيلي إيمي الفايشو عمينا ومولفلن وقدرين عايشين ببلد اللي لتوا ايه بفرص غلبة ومع ذلك كتوا بين نيشو لازم سيمت حتى بدكتو ليتو فرص إنه قد يلفت بطف environment وبأرثاو كويلو مدرسة غلبة كون فقط مينا قدرت عايشة بأيدك سحرته إذا قدرت بو أثراو وبو تشالنج وبو صعب اللي كيتو بو بلداو كولي قدرة سيمت وتوالح مثال طو حد قالوه هولي اللي اونو بيع ليدي وبحونوني قدرة نشحت بايدك رحريتو اللي متوقعنا اونو قدرنا سمنا وتوينو اي ميدي وميدي اللي يالفنو لبيار عايو ديدن بيار عايدا نم قادشتو وبو ميدي اللي هو هليدي ويعاي ليدي يالي فينا طامو وميدانو يلي مجهز لنا قدرني نسيمينا ميدي هركي بوثرو داميركا بوثر ما أثينا لك
غلب الشافيرو تودي ساقي بحكي له غلب بيقا ميتو ألو سيفو ونو مبامبو بورين يدوخ نو ميقا ميزابنو كاريو سمي لن تحرسو أم يقرو صبرو بنغارو كتيو مدبرو نو تسيفو سنتا بايكي شميات بشمي هاتي إيه قرثيدوخ مايكو يو آثيتو مايكو ناحيتو سوريا كيف حكت لنا لوحة
يا احنا جدي ما بسحة قوى
أوكي
هي قوة حونو يمكن وردو عمو يمكن عايشي بميدن وبثر ناحيتي لسوريا وزرناو يعني احنا حد معظم
نعم.
ده شنا انا جدي عمري ما دبتش عياوت ودينا قدم حاسة قصص دا يدربو ديار ويدربو تسملة اشنا اللي شافعي علي لك دايما دينا قد احنا ضايرين قدر بو احنا كعامو احنا مبالشنا نلومو صفر مبالشنا نتحتدو صفر دينا قد
أوكي.
نافقين مو سيفو لتلن وليدر وما الفونديدا كل قطيلي واكثر ويدا اما دار سيدا ضعرينا سيمينا محاثو ضعرينا بونينا بموشنا يعني انه هاتي درس بو هيستوري كتويو اولموست حد ميريكل كتويو بس هاثكم مشغولون برا ايدي زتر على اللورشنس على المقا او جينيتك ديدينا ومقا احنا عامو ريزيلينتنا ومقا عامو قدرينا نفقينا لان ايمد اللي شابعينا ايبه ألفو اشنانك ما اشتلفو اشنا لودو يعني احنا كم شغلنا على اخر موشنا ومد اللي هاوي بس الدارت كل مو ما فيشنا كتلن وسيفو إذا بقدرينا دارينا كنا كم شغلوا علينا احنا مقا عامو قويونا و... و... وميدانه لازم لو طوعينا له ومتحملين أي مسؤولية كنا مرنو كمولفنا حتى أزعو ريدي إنه كل حامينينا لا تيو روحي لازم مشغل بشمد تموني بمو منه شلي معيثي اللي يقعدوا لا تيقولوا قالوه من قال جدي التوبة بس احنا كتلا مسؤولية دم مثلينا أتموني بمو منه شلي الزنة واحنا فايشين احنا قطعنينا إشمية قطعنينا وروح حتى عمينا وهذيك من المسؤولية لازم كل سوريا قطعا لا عمي احنا يمكن كو مشغولين ايه قدرينا معبرين على ميدان بس مفكرنا كل سوريا كو بلا بيوم ميدان
أو خايف متانا مبام بورين يدخنو. هي ويا موسم اللي بتحرس عم صبروا بنجارو يعني وعام أيضا غلب في شيطوا كبالي دومر قتوينو طايو ولك مقتلوا يعني سيفو لك دو ثوا عليه يعني كبالي مناقي ودربو في شيطو دومر اونو السنة توينو طايو وزاتن تروي يعني يعني حتوي طايو ميدي غلب في شيطو لازم دومر حافظ غومو وهاوي السنة يعني غلب ميدي في شيطو إلهم نقل يودربو يقورو مريلو لبتوينا وقتيلي أو مهزمة أو بشكل ميدا مخلصي ودينا مخلصي السنة إيش زبنو ياريخو بيزحثوا عيشي وميدا لدعي وإيما كتو مسيفو يد إيش نقحليتو كيتو سيفو ليتو موخم موبم وأعمخنو يعني إحنا تحت دو صفر شاريلا ميقم موشني وبزبنو كاريو معطينا درغي غلبة عيكوت حيرينا كلان فرصوفي خوثو دماغن درغي علوي وكو معلن ريشة دو عام أيضا هاتي إيما بثر من قيلو من سوريا وعودوا اليوم أكو عيشة بوثرد أمريكا أدربو مالخلي تروي من سوريا أدربو ماطت الأمريكا إيما أزوخ بتروي بودربو دي قراية أزوخ الأمريكا أو أيدربو مالخلو دربانو أو إيه مخبابوخ مالخي أزن وهاتا أزوخ بثراي كما حكت لن
يا
الوحزقي داخل أمريكا.
بتر الفوحمشو اثينو الامريكا اثينو اونو او دربيدي اسمه ملحق لي حوني ورابو حوني ورابو اللي هي وشاطر يلي اشطر مني بطلبه يا حوني ورابي رابي اسمي رابي كمان ورابو هي كمان اسيو احنا وحوردو دربيدي يا حوني اللي عم اترينا سينا كدور اسوا رب من بتريشنا تقريبا بحلبوا قرر لدوث الأمريكا احنا كنا مفكرين وزن ولا بريطانيا وبثر دارينا ولا وثرو هانا ونقد احنا كودرسينا
مم.
ميديكال سكول بسوريا لتلن وفكرة ده ابدا طورينا وموثرو احنا مفكر لنا جزانو سمينا اختصاص ايضا وقدارينا لوثرو هاوي احوني زيو لبريطانيا وهي ببريطانيا برمنغهام شام على ديوك يونيفرسيتي اللي توب من حمشو يونيفرسيتيز ببريثو هاللعدو طامو مرة لازم رابي كرحمة زوح لأمريكا رابي أحوني دقلي من جابي زحنا تورينا مو وثرو دوثينا هرجينا قالك زين توتر دكثو هرجينا
نعم.
قي لك فور جابينا بريطانيا ولا ألمانيا ولا ديزاين التوتر دكثو وإحنا قائمة أحوني واللي اسمه سهل ودربو لأن أحوني كفوت دربو ونود ملحقنا
نعم.
أثينا بس إحنا أثينا بورنيود مخلصين اختصاص دعارينا بابي الحمد لله احنا بابي وتشيرمان اوف ورئيس الغرفه دي التجاره والصناعه بقامشلوه أحيانا بقامش الغلبة باسي منوا مي شغلوني وما شغلوني محاية محاوروني مو كلتشر وفكرة دارينا وكنقا بس طبعا بثر
مم.
محارب أمدوني قليبي وإنقا يوم فاكر لان مدينة در بحرينو ودينا قد مفاكر لان بودر بحرينو وانا مفكر لي بدر بحرينو لا بانو توينو بس خد اسيو بامريكا حديد خد اسيو حرينو بامريكا ينقا يوم فاكر لي غلبة من لازم سمنو بحايدي زادو حايدا مغيري وغلبة هاي يوم أصعب بدرني قد بحايدا ويوم اللي مغير يحايد كله إنه لو فاش كتلو حضعورة ومدى اللي هتكون فكرت وأقدارت وسيمت كولي أزايو كوبان بلشت محاثم مني وبلانيدو وزبناو اللي ياتيونا مفكر لان إلي مور بيرسونلي شخصيا إنه من يعرفنا أنا ومنه من طوّن ومن لتنا طوّ ومن كيف بيسمنا ومن اللي بيسمنا وميدانه واللي led me لو ريسيرش وفاشنا الله هو هؤلاء لانين عمد شغلنا وبحضمني لح بديوك يونيفرسيتي رابطر ما رابطر حمشو جامعات ببريثو اللي كوثيلا
مم.
annual ريسيرش حوالي 1 بليون دولار بشاتو يعني
خطيرة.
هاوينا بمركز رابو طامو وقادرين نسمينا أي شركة وبديلا نحا يعني.
شافيرو. In Akayo, دبعت مقلبين على English.
Yes.
Your company, the name
Yeah.
is Lamassu BioTech. Maybe before we start with what is the company doing, what's the goal of the company, the vision, maybe we can start and you can explain why did you chose the name Lamassu BioTech.
So for first, Lama, so we try to be a company, biotech company with multiple assets and always asset for multiple indication for multiple disease. And always I thought about, for me, the selection criteria about what drugs we could select to develop, it will be the best in class. And that's one of our criteria to be the best in class or treatment for unmet need for disease is not, there's no existing treatment for it. It came to my mind is right away the Lamasu. Lamasu, it has the head of a human, which is the more important in a human body, the wing of eagle, which is the more important things in the eagle, and the lion, and obviously the bull. So that's kind of, it came to my mind about how you have to select the best known class in every disease in every sector, and that's obviously present me. And you have no idea how much Lamasu capture and also our logo capture the attention of many people right away. What's Lamasu? Why you
Yeah.
selected that? And that's always opportunity for us to tell them who we are. And we are, as I started, we are my brother, we are the children of the first civilization, and we carry that with us. And we born over 6,000 years. So this is who we are, and this is how we present us.
Very nice, very nice. It's a very nice explanation also. So what was your initial idea to found Lamassu Biotech company? What was the initial idea to start it? Why didn't you choose to be a doctor and to follow your career?
So after we always when it came to America, we've been blessed. Me and my brother, older brother Rabi, the smart one, we always chose American big universities to learn the most, and we thought always to go back to our homeland, and for many reasons, like many people want to go back to homeland, and we thought we would go back there. After the war, everything changed. Everything changed. And instead, if we go back, my family wanted to come here. So
Yeah.
uh, that was the time it make us, for me personally, my brother that time was already finished his residence, all of that. For me, that time was rethinking about what I'm going to do to live in the US. The life of surgeon, I was to do surgery. The life of surgeon in the US was not, I love surgery. I went to medicine to do surgery. So it was for me was not the appealing life from family, from business, from different for many many reasons. As a surgeon, you work like 100 hours in the hospital, and you are responsible as oncologist surgery. You're responsible on life or death, and you have to do the best for the patient because
Yeah.
you're depending on them. Uh, For me, I wanted to be more than doctor. I wanted to be father. I'm proud father of 5 kids. I
Wow.
wanted to be father. I wanted to be brother. I wanted to be son. I wanted to be active in many things. And to choose life surgeon in the US to work over 100 hours a week, that was going to limit me about who I am more than. So that kind of started for me process about what I'm going to do here. This is going to be my life in the US. And that time started kind of go through the process, this analysis about what is US known for, what is good, what I'm good at, what I'm
Yeah.
weak at, what opportunity I have, what is not opportunity, what existing, what is missing from the market. For me, I always been passionate physician, always thinking about how I will improve the life of patient. And as my brother was always saying, you learn, you do research, you learn the medicine of tomorrow. What you learn in medical school, you learn the medicine of yesterday. When you do research, you practice the medicine of tomorrow. That
Yeah.
was when I went research. And when I was in research, I was director of drug development center at Duke. And that time I faced a problem like one of the biggest center in the world, receiving hundreds of millions of dollars annually. You see, they generated a lot of information, a lot of research, but how much you translate that knowledge to patient care, it was limited.
Yeah.
I always was joking with my colleagues at the Duke, tell them, article in Nature and Science doesn't treat patient. You need to explain to community doctor if they have disease, what you need to give to their patient, how they need to manage the patient. So it was very clear for me very early that there was missing gap between how much knowledge research we have in the US and how much outcomes to bring that knowledge to practical, tangible recommendation or product to give it to the patient. So that
Mm.
was very clear, very early, missing, recognized. And then you go through the process about, okay, what you need to connect this with this. And as I started, just it happened, we born more than 6,000 a year. We have that richness in genetic and we came from environment. We know how to connect things together. Biotech is to start biotech. Maybe it is one not the easiest things to do because you have to be expert in research, in patient care, in regulation, in business, in venture capital, in FDA regulation, in patent law, in international law. So you have to be balanced between tens of factors, and you have to get all of that right. If you miss one of them, you will miss it. So how to balance all of that factor? Just some way, somewhere, it happened. Me and my brother, we could make that balance, and we thought, this is what we can do. And sure enough, that was our focus in the work on research, and that was what I felt passionate about it.
Mm.
While I was working, I became director. I was the first director of drug development in academic center in the U.S. So at big institution, big university as a Duke. That's how we started. In 2019, we came through opportunity with Mayo Clinic. Mayo Clinic is actually number one hospital in the U.S. We were exposed to about new knowledge, new research about acute pancreatitis. Acute pancreatitis is a very nasty disease. There is no treatment currently for acute pancreatitis. A lot of people, tens of thousands of people die from acute pancreatitis, and hundreds of thousands of people suffer from it annually. So we came through research through Mayo Clinic, very very encouraging data in animal. And that time when we approached Mayo Clinic about we will take this drug over to accelerate that development. And sure enough, Mayo Clinic accepted our proposal, and they joined us in forming Lamasu. Currently, Mayo Clinic is partnered with us and investors with Lamasu, and kind of we started that journey.
Okay, so the journey started or was an outcome, let's say, in spin-off of your research you were doing with Mayo Clinic anyway. That's my understanding, if just to summarize it. And you said that the first the first you were working on was then what you call on your homepage. I'm looking just right now on your homepage on the how you call it, Rabi. Is it the Rabi 767 then?
Correct. That's the name of our drug,
Yeah, for
RABI-767.
this disease, right?
Correct. This is for acute pancreatitis disease.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit how far are you with bringing out this medicine?
Sure.
I see here it's different steps or different phases, the preclinical phase, phase one, and phase two, phase three. And as I see on your homepage, it's the Rabi 767. Is it an abbreviation, Rabi, or did you just call it Rabi, the medicine?
One of the advantage to be founder and create a new medicine, you can name your medicine, right? So,
Okay.
so there is no better name than Rabi. So,
That's a really good name. The next one can be Gabi then.
so, so before I go deep on Rabi 767,
Yeah,
our company currently we have three program. The
yeah,
acute pancreatitis, this is our first clinical. And
yeah,
we have oncology drug is actually SAYDI, SA53.
yeah.
And our third program is we recently announced it is the veterinary pet medicine for dog and cat. So we have three program currently. The very first one is and most advanced is the acute pancreatitis. Uh, the acute pancreatitis, we completed all obviously the animal testing, the safety, and then we got the regulatory approval from US and Canada to start the human trial. We completed phase one, the safety, very successfully in the US and Canada. In phase two, we partner with the other company, raised all the fund we need, and then we started now in phase two. It is ongoing. Phase two is over 15 center in the US and Canada, and now we are expanding internationally as well.
Great, great. Can you, for the audience who doesn't know let's say the phases, can you explain maybe the phases? How long does it take from starting a drug until you really have it on the market? I think for the normal audience who are not in this field, uh, maybe they think it's very easy. It takes just a year or something. But the reality is totally different. The only exception was the drug for the Corona disease. I think this went out very fast because there was a huge interest for the let's say for society. But usually it takes really years. But can you
Yeah,
go through the process and explain it for the audience so that we all understand how the
sure,
steps are?
sure. Usually, drug development, drug from discovery to get to the market, to the hand of in the pharmacy, commercial pharmacy, because drug can get to the patient like our drugs. It get to the hand of the patient through academic center, but to get to be sold in the pharmacy, usually take between 13 to 15 years. So
Wow.
the drugs take between 13 to 15 years, and it take an average $2 billion as well. So it is very lengthy and it is very expensive. So that's why you don't see a lot of startup in smaller size to start this journey. Uh,
Yeah. It's more or less impossible. It's really more or less impossible to raise so much money without having revenues. It's just but you have a huge burn rate of money during the time until you have a product which has really a value, right?
Correct. So Um, y- that's why US number one and Europe, I would say number two, and obviously being in US, I'm biased to the US, so sorry for our audience in Europe. So,
No
but
problem.
drug development in the US, there is that environment to support those steps. So it is not like all of a sudden I'm gonna make a plan for 15 years and I'm gonna need fund $2 billion. So you work it step by steps. So you work it step by step, and you have that inflection point in every direction. You keep raising fund, you keep getting a grant. Like our case, we got a lot of a grant. You become very much entrepreneur. I mean, usually I was the chairman of Society of Physician Entrepreneur with over 25,000 physician members. So always, usually I preach to tell them, you need the money to turn the money to resource to you to advance. Sometimes you can get access to resource without the money. So the money is usually the tools to get things done. But
Yeah.
if you find way in entrepreneurial way, you can get things done cheaper, faster through exchange resource or other things. Just you need to do it. You don't need sometimes all the money to do it. And there is a lot of in the US. There is the environment and the resource to do it. That doesn't mean it is easy.
Mm.
Obviously, it is very difficult journey but very rewarding journey as well. And the science and the money and the team building is one of the challenge, but also you have to know the international business. Like our drug is patented in 70 different countries, and you have to learn to deal with 70 different lawyers in many many
Legislations.
countries. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, you have to build all that
Yeah.
system, support the teams and the regulations, and you have to make so there's many things you have to do it, but you have to do it step by step. It's not like, as I told you right away, to commit to 15 years and $2 billion. So you take it step by step.
I understand. So this was your first product, the Rabi 767, and then you said you have also two other products which are not that advanced. Can you talk a little bit about the other two?
So actually, our oncology product is as much advanced, almost like Rabi 767. We have our oncology product. It's first I mentioned the acute pancreatitis. It is there's no treatment for acute pancreatitis currently. So patients usually get fluid, and so we call it support care. So that's very extremely exciting for us from patient care, from how you can change the field. The second drug is
Maybe,
usually
sorry to interrupt. Maybe we stay at the first product. What would be in the best case if the product gets through the process in phase three? What
yes.
would be the outcome of the product? What would be the support of the patients? What would be the
Yeah.
outcome? And that's maybe also very interesting to know.
Yeah, actually, I didn't answer your question about the phases. We talk about the lengthy time. Usually, kind of before we come to the phase three, usually there's the discovery work. That's a lot of chemistry, synthesis, and target, molecular target. After that, there is animal work. It's more validation and testing in animal. And then there is the safety work. That's when you tested on monkey, dogs, all of that. And then it comes more manufacturer regulatory, and then it comes regulatory. Usually that process, that's usually people call it more in the research, basic research before even come to the hospital, before you get regulatory approval. That's usually takes 7 to 8 years. It's heavy science. That is usually the stage. Then you submit it to the FDA. The FDA review this very intensely, or other country regulatory agency, and then they approved you. We called it investigation in new drugs. So basically, they approved you to treat the patient. So that's usually the one of the biggest milestone, because phase one or two, usually you get your drug to the patient, to human. So that's kind of usually the biggest milestone in a milestone or inflection point. When you get to that safe one, phase one, say phase one is usually patient get your drug, but the primary goal from it is to measure safety, to be sure your drug is safe, and to optimize the regimen, the dose, all of that. You monitor, let's say, the heart, the blood, all of that to be sure. If you approve it, you demonstrate your drug is safe, you go to the next level. It's called it usually phase two. And phase two is you demonstrate your drugs work. And that is usually the second biggest inflection point in our industry, because now that you prove your drug is now came to the human, you tested it's safe, now you test it's working. After that, usually that is usually the big inflection point. from financially and also scientifically. Usually, when you prove your drug is work at phase two, usually you test it within a small cohort of patient, let's call it 50 to 200 patient,
Yeah,
based on the disease, let's call it 50 to 200. After you demonstrate that, then after that you move to phase three, and that is the final steps. The phase three is usually when smaller biotech like us, usually you approach bigger partners to bring hundreds of million. That's mean you then you make hundreds of patient or thousands of patient globally. You test from all races, all ages, or you can then all different condition. Then you have to do that wide study. That is usually phase three. If you carry your sample of the phase two in way to mimic phase three, usually you have over 80% chance for phase three to be successful. If this is successful, usually go then the final approval, FDA review all of that, then give you the final approval to sell your drug on the product, sell your product on the market. So that's usually the steps. For us as a biotech, we focus usually a lot on phase two because that
mm,
is where we show our drugs is safe and work.
yeah,
After phase two, usually we seek bigger partners to bring the hundred of million. And usually partners is not just about the money, but many times partner bring that logistic. Because if you work with big pharmaceutical, if I want to have logistic to distribute it in Holland, it's difficult for me to replicate that infrastructure, to
yeah.
negotiate with the European Union, with individual country, the rate, the reimbursement. So they have that infrastructure like any other business. So it's easier to work and partner with other companies, not just about money, but also it's about the existing logistic to support the wide distribution, especially in drugs with like our drug, which is has we build our drugs and our company to become global company from beginning. As I mentioned, we are patented in 70 different countries. So
Yeah,
that's different business than if someone focus only in the US or Canada or Europe alone.
I understand. So with the first drug, the Rabi 767, so you're already in phase two. So what would you say? How long will it take until you finalize phase two and go into phase three?
So phase two, we already partner with other group to help us with because again that's coming for strategy of our business, what we need to do. So we partner with other group. We currently with over 15 center. We expect within 1 year, no more than 2 years. Within 1 year, we can finish the phase two, and hopefully, God willing, we can demonstrate the drugs work. And that is usually the biggest inflection point. And that time we will seek other partnership with other bigger company, or potentially we will think if we go IPO, there is more fund, or just go to sell the product or partner with other bigger company. So that will be the biggest inflection or the point for us to in 1 year, no more than 2 years.
Okay. And to go back to my question, how will this drug Rabi 767 help the patients of having this disease, pancreatitis, I think is the name of the disease.
Yeah.
How will it help them? You said this disease doesn't have a cure today, so you get it and you have a lot of pain and you have to live with it. And right now there's no drug for it. So how would the drug Rabi 767 support these patients?
So actually, it is not just pain. A lot of patient die from it.
Yeah,
So
right.
for acute pancreatitis is just tell you a little bit about the disease. Is the number one reason patient go for GI complaint to the emergency room is because of acute pancreatitis.
Okay.
80% of it is usually mild or moderate, but 20% of the patient usually they have something called it severe acute pancreatitis. And from those 20% of the severe acute pancreatitis, which is 20% in the US, translate to around 100,000 patients annually. And for those 100,000 patients in the US alone, you can more or less make the same number in Europe and more in Asia. Actually, the percentage in Asia is higher. So in that 20% of the patient, they spend in average 20 days in ICU in intensive care.
per year.
And yes, per patient,
Okay.
usually from that 100,000, uh,
Incentives.
20% they stay over close to 1 month in the ICU and intensive care.
Yeah.
And from that 80,000, also other 20% will pass away eventually.
Okay.
So that is devastated disease on the healthcare system. It is extremely costly because the people that they survive, they will survive with very complication, with very expensive treatment in the million of dollar. And also if you count that is expenses on directly on health system. And also, if you calculate the economic impact about the family, how much they are out of the work, and this person most likely, the many times they will become disabled, they cannot work. So the impact on the health in economical, even it is in the millions of dollars for each case. So, and
Okay.
also obviously when in addition to close to 15 to 20,000 patients in the US alone, it's passed away from the disease. So this is very, very devastating disease. So if we find, and hopefully we are the leading drug in over the world about addressing this disease. So bringing treatment to this devastating disease, and this is acute pancreatitis is inflammation of pancreas basically, and
Yeah.
pancreas is very much vital organ. In simple way, people knows why that's a very very nasty disease. Pancreas is responsible to digest fat. Usually, when you
Yeah.
eat meat, the pancreas enzyme usually they digest the fat, and when the pancreas inflamed, that fat enzyme leak in the belly, and the
Mhm.
body does start digesting itself
Oh.
and cause necrosis, and it cause basically you basically more or less imagine you open the belly and you drop acid in the guts and in the fat. That's why it is very nasty disease, and many times you do people, that's why people lose their life, and also or live with very complication if it is developed to become severe. The mild type of it, some we don't know why people sometimes like you mentioned corona, COVID.
Mm.
Some people had it mild way and some people had it very severe way.
That's true.
Acute pancreatitis is one of the same things. Some patients have it very mild. You go to emergency care, you have it mild pain, painful abdominal pain. In 2 days, you are normal. You back to normal life. And some patient they will stay 1 month in ICU, and some patient will pass away. So it is one of those very tough, and that's why I told you it is very rewarding if we bring treatment for such devastating disease on patient life, on patient family, and healthcare system, and in general economical as well. And that's what make it even more valuable, not just from health as a physician, but also from economical perspective on money perspective as well.
And the goal is that your drug will cure the patients, or will your drug just, let's say, decrease the pain or decrease the the sickness?
So our drug mechanism is to stop the development, the progress of the disease.
Okay.
And as I mentioned, when you stop the progress, basically you recover the patient. So for us, is we are not comfortable in is we treating the disease by stopping that progress. When you stop, as I mentioned, like 80% of the patient is recover either through mild or moderate, and the other severe is progressing to become very bad
Yeah.
and getting to organ failure, and then eventually many of them there. So if you stop that progress, basically you put them on the recovery path. We have obviously a very novel mechanism, and also we have very novel mechanism of action and delivery as well. So that's what makes us very unique. You have to understand we are very science heavy. Our industry is very science heavy, so you have to understand the disease, the nature of the disease, and you have to understand your drug and how the drugs work, and you have to make your own approach about it, and we did. We have very unique approach. In fact, we would be hopefully when we get approval, we would be the only drugs delivered directly through the abdominal. So all
Okay.
the drug is on the market currently is delivered either through oral, through
Mhm.
pill or syrup, or through the blood, like injectable. So that's
Okay.
how usually you take your medicine.
Yeah.
But if you understand the nature of the disease and why other treatment failed, you understand those method is not working because of the nature of the disease and without going too much in the science, but it is related to the pressure of the pancreas that cannot, it is like basic physics. You cannot deliver something with low pressure to high pressure cannot be penetrate. The drugs will not
Yeah.
penetrate. You cannot treat. So we had to deliver it locally and sure enough, not we are just unique about it. We will be novel in how we approach that treatment, and that's why we are advanced more than any other drugs because we understand the disease. We are not afraid to take a new path. And fair enough, we took a completely new path. Obviously, with it was challenging. In fact, that was a story by itself. How to challenge, convince the FDA to go completely to new path for completely new novel therapy. But that's we created a new patent actually. So we created a new patent about delivery, we new patent about formulation. We deliver more novel work instead of drug. We have actually family of patent, more five families of different patent for our work.
Sounds like a bold move to do, to go the totally different way of approaching the development of a disease. Sounds like this for me. So thank you for explaining everything around this product, the first product. Let's go to the second one, which was SA-53, which is in the oncological field, right?
Yeah,
It's a drug against or for curing cancer, or it, of course, cancer is one of the biggest diseases in the world right now. Just let's say emotional observation is that a lot of people, maybe really, if we hear in our community somebody died, emotionally, it feels like every second one died from cancer. I don't know if you will have the statistics behind that, but I think cancer is right now for sure one of the top five reasons for death.
correct. Is reason number two actually. Just almost going to be number one after heart disease, but it's almost equal with number one, equal
Yeah.
to heart disease. So yes, that's other area in our field. We call it unmet need. It is one of the area that there is this problem is not met with the solution on the market. So that's why we are excited again about it because we are not just doing like Me Too type of drugs. We are not like, this guy is successful, we're just going to mimic it. No, we are going through completely new approach and we treat disease. There is no treatment for it and you save life and that's give you a lot of joy and the pleasure you can impact people's life. Our drugs also is more or less similar to the story of RABI-767. It is completely novel therapy. It's a new class of treatment. So it is, we called it genetical targeted therapy. What that's mean, traditionally people knows breast cancer, there's drug for breast cancer. Colon cancer, there's drug for colon cancer. For us, we are not targeting the organ. We targeting the genetical molecular of the drug. Oh, sorry, of the genetical molecular of the tumor.
Of the tumor.
And we found that 50% of all tumor there is gene called P53, and that gene is usually responsible for cancer to be normal, not to turn to be malignant and multiply abnormally. That gene usually regulate the cell cycle for the cell not to turn to become the bad one. So it become to
Okay.
live normally. And we found that 50% of the cancer that gene is present but inactive. Basically, it is a switch. It's turned off. So our
Okay.
drug basically it target that gene and activate it, bring the switch up. And when you're bringing the switch back, basically your
It will do its work.
the cell will recognize this is bad cell. It will trigger that killing cycle for the cell to kill itself. And that will enhance the immune system. The immune system will add to the factor to kill it. So it is very novel class of treatment, and we are extremely excited about that.
Is this B? P53, right?
Correct.
Yeah, this P53. Is this true for all kinds of cancer, all kinds of tumors, or for example, or is it just for cell typical for a specific type of cancer true?
So it is true in percentage of cancer type. As example, we're targeting sarcoma. Sarcoma, 90% of the sarcoma patient has 90% of the sarcoma has that gene inactive, and they will be eligible for our drug. In
Okay,
colon cancer, only 50% of the cancer has that gene inactive and they will benefit. So not all the patient can benefit from it, but big percentage of all cancer can benefit from it. And that was the distinguish I mentioned very early. We are not going to be recognized based on the organ. Is not we are or not targeting the organ of breast. We're targeting the gene. And
okay,
that's hopefully will become multiple type of cancer. But within that type, you do the genetic and you know if you are eligible or not eligible to it.
interesting. What is a sarcoma? Just for our audience, what is that?
Sarcoma is we call it usually soft tissue malignant like muscle, fat. Usually when it turn to become more malignant, bone as well. Sometimes osteosarcoma. So this is that's the tissue when it turn to become malignant. Usually it is mass either in abdominal or in limbs or something. It's grow, and maybe you see a lot of people lose limb, which is sometimes very obvious. You see it usually it's due to cancer. So that's kind of one of relatively it is rare type of cancer, but also unfortunately it is one of the cancer type. It is very bad prognosis, so there is no good treatment for it. Some type of cancer, like I mentioned, colon cancer, there is some treatment available, but for sarcoma is there is really no good treatment. And in fact, our first patient received the drug is patient. The doctor decided not to give any other drug approved on the market and to give SA53, which is actually short from SAYDI and P53. So that's so they chose to give our drug instead of all the other approved drug because they think it has better potential to help the patient than the other approved drug.
And how did it work with the first patient?
So we're gonna see. It is ongoing study.
Okay,
So we keep
okay,
monitoring. We keep monitoring. So this is we got approved. We mentioned in RABI-767 we are at phase 2 clinical trial. Now the FDA approved us actually combined phase 1 and 2 together. So
together.
practically we are directly approved us for more or less phase 2. We are in the sick patient right away to evaluate efficacy. And and that story by itself, in longer setting, I will explain how you handle regulatory, how you handle it entrepreneurially, how you pitch, how you pitch to FDA, and you plan for faster progress and faster development path. That's for different setting and for anyone is interesting. So, but FDA approved us for more or less called it fast track to go to patient very soon and to treat fast patient because of the unmet need nature of that cancer.
Okay. And uh, your drug here, the SA53, um, I heard that in right now in science regarding cancer, the one big road everybody's going is the immunotherapy, right? Is this also in this field of immunotherapy? Can you say that your drug is supporting more or less the immune system? Can you say that, or is it a totally different approach again?
So this is a completely different approach. So immune system is depend on the immune response to kill the cell. So for our drug is I mentioned it's a new class. It's novel new class, but the impact hopefully when our drugs work if but hopefully when the drugs work it will be impactful as the immune therapy on cancer field. Immune therapy is good example because you can treat immunotherapy through multiple type of cancer. Our
Yeah.
drug, if approved, you can treat multiple type of cancer as well by that. But instead of, for us, we work on immune therapy and immune system, but it is indirectly. We work directly on the cell cycle to regulate itself, to recognize the bad. And that's how the body should be. Recognize when it is abnormal, like in simple way, when you have wound,
Yeah.
the cell multiply to close that wound, and then they stop growth. They don't continue growing. They
Yeah.
know when they need to stop after the closure of the wound. And some cells in malignant, the cell doesn't know when to stop. They keep multiplying and multiplying. So that's our drug is regulate when the cell should know when to stop and kill the extra cell. And then
Okay.
when the cell die, then the immune system come as secondary enhancement to our drug.
Okay. And the first drug you said it was, let's say, a normal process from your work, from your research you had at the institute you were working. How did the idea for the second drug develop for the SA53? How did this develop? How did you get to this idea?
So this drug actually was developed in Europe in with a Polish company actually. So that was where it
Yeah.
was discovered, and we partnered with them. That it is a big company, but we approached them, and they thought we would be best partner to advance because of our experience and who we are and what we can bring to the table. They thought we are better approach to advance, and we basically took that drug from them with through partnership. But obviously, we are the lead partner with that, and that is example. That is one of example. The company we partner with us is they have over $4 billion annual sale, so it is big company, but
Yeah.
still doesn't mean if you are big, that's mean you are better. And that's other
Yeah.
example. You are not afraid of going and competing with companies with billion of dollar. In fact, they recognize we would be better suited to advance this drug because we have that unique expertise and we know the problem solving and we have that personalized approach because of our experience. So obviously they were convinced. They invested tens and if not hundreds of millions in that drug. So for them to handle that drug to us and to accept for us to lead, they know we can lead it better. So that's other lesson for our people not to be afraid. Doesn't mean someone has more money or bigger company they are better. No. And for us being a Syrian born in that land, you already have that natural advantage anyway.
I totally agree, and I see that also in my field. Let's say professionally, I'm an M&A manager. So manager for mergers and acquisitions for the audience who doesn't know. And often my clients, I have my own company consulting. My clients are big companies, and if they want to advance in technology, often they look for small companies because they say small companies are faster. We are the big ships
Exactly.
who if they want to turn, they need let's say 1 mile place to make a turn, but a small ship they can turn and go and round and see, but they're much faster. That's often the idea of big companies if they want to um, to get access to new technology. Often they do it with if they're partnering a joint venture, if they're buying small companies, because small companies are usually much faster and more flexible. That's also my observation. So, and I totally get it if there's a big Polish company who say, okay, you are experts in this field. We trust you, and you are much faster. You don't have this naysayers in your company because and you don't have all the structure, the gremiums, etc., the boards. You have to all the presentations you have to do. It's much more complicated in a big construction in a construction of a big company. It's much more complicated to be fast. So I totally get it. If they see there's some really specialized in something, just give them the trust and they will work much better and burn less money than the big company does.
Correct. And
So
and
I
our
totally
business,
get it from the business point of view. I totally get it.
exactly.
Yeah, and it's also a good message for our Syria, for our people. Just do it. Try if you know your expertise and know what you can. Um, be bold and try it.
Yeah, and remember, Syria has already, we have natural advantage. We have the history on our side. So even in a way you don't know it, it benefit you, even if we don't know it.
Totally agree. I totally agree with you. And you can see that we have really a lot of examples who did this. Yeah, so we see it in a very short period of time since we left um, our homeland, which were not with our free will, but we had to leave it in the last 30, 40, 50 years. I think we have a lot of people who achieved really amazing things. One of them are you and your brother together. So I really congratulate you on both drugs you are developing, and I pray for you that everything will go fine and you will pass all three phases.
Thank you.
And that's really great. But especially the second one, the SA-53, I think everyone in our audience will relate to that because I really know, I know nobody who doesn't know anybody in his family or in his, let's say, community who didn't lost a family member or a loved one where because of cancer. I think cancer is a really big issue. And I'm really proud that you are working on that, and we have other Srioye, let's say, like professors working, let's say, in hospitals, etc., and also doing their research in cancer. We have some here in Germany. We have some I know in USA, in Sweden, and I've for sure a lot of other which I don't know, but I'm always really proud to see our Srioye also in this really important field for humanity. So we as our nation, we did, I think, a lot of good things for humanity in the past, and we are continuing doing good things for humanity as we invented the wheel, we invented the letters to write. We invented a lot of things which were really good for humanity, and hopefully we will continue inventing things to develop humanity, to make humanity and life, this world, a better place. So thank you very much for this. You already mentioned that it is, especially in your field, very important to go to make collaborations with universities, with other companies. How important is this topic, collaborations, for your work?
So it is extremely important, actually. So you may, I mean, there is the term, we use it, and now it's, funny enough, you mentioned we invented the wheels. Usually the term you said, you don't go back to invent the wheel, right?
Yeah,
So that's
we
the
did it
term.
already.
Yeah, exactly. So there is a lot of resource available, and as any entrepreneur and any business, and as big you are, or as wealthy you are, as the problem is bigger. As big you are, you have bigger problem to solve. As more knowledge you have, you need more. So you have to always utilize that resource available. In the US, we mentioned at beginning, like Duke University is one university is receiving close to $1 billion in average annually in research. That's a lot of knowledge. And that's a lot of resource accessible by any taxpayer or any company in the US, because that's how the system is structured. And you can multiply that with 20 big universities in the US and see the amount of resource and knowledge you have.
Yeah,
Multiply that internationally and multiply that on companies. As I told you, we for RABI 767, we chose very early to partner with other company brought tens of millions of dollars to the tables very early, and also they brought a lot of expertise, and we have a lot of relation with those company you trust. I mean, you have to be very careful to selecting partnership. Actually, it is one of the extremely important. You are as M&A manager, you know how the important is the culture when there is merge. So you have to
Yeah.
select partnership extremely carefully. But it is one of the more important aspect in the life of a startup, to use the resource and how to get to your goal very efficiently, fast, and also successfully.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's really sensitive to have collaborations. You really have to pick very good. You have to think about it, and it's really sensitive because I think you will share also a lot of know-how. You already said you have some patents on the market, so this is also very sensitive, of course.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah. For us, one things other than we partner with a lot of universities, actually we partner with NIH. The
yeah,
National Institute of Health is the biggest, obviously, funded and regulatory also for the research. And we receive multiple grants from them, and that's opened doors for us to be validated in many other companies. Even they don't know you, but when they know you are working with top science in the United States, and you get and they awarded you with multiple grants, and they continue working with you, that's many times for small companies becoming as validation method
yeah.
for you have to utilize all that resource, and you have to grow and not reinvent the wheel, as we said, and just to focus on getting your to your goal. That's your focus.
Yeah, totally get it. Um, Before we forget it, you said you have three products right now, three drugs you're working
Yeah.
on, and the third one was a pet drug. Am I right?
Correct. We started actually, that is, we announced it less than a month ago. So this is, we started the animal division, and
Yeah,
that came actually just more. I never developed drugs for animal before. I work at before my all my experience is for a human, but funny enough, there is concept called One Health. It is
yeah,
you can see there is a lot of diseases in a human, and also you can see it in the animal because of the environment. So that's kind of the concept of One Health. For us, it started about there is big market in animal, and the animal
yeah,
market actually it was more driven by opportunity. If I have to admit it, it was more driven by opportunity and driven by science, and then it was more kind of finalized as creating new capture. The opportunity in way we can summarize it is the pet market is almost doubled in size before COVID and now, and doubled in size as GDP and also as economic number, and also with the expected growth for over 13% annually. So that is a huge market to enter. So for any entrepreneur, you have to take advantage of what you have and take advantage of any opportunity. Additionally, there was also a very big scientific reason for us to try to optimize the human trial by testing it on dogs, which they receive almost actually the same acute pancreatitis, and actually, funny enough, they have also a lot of sarcoma and cancer as well. So it
oh,
was also very natural for us. Oh, for our disease, we are targeting in human. Now the dogs has the same type of disease, and it is very nice opportunity, and the market is big, the financial interest is there, and the scientifically there is big case for us. And sure enough, we as I mentioned about NIH, and sure enough, actually the NIH, we approached the idea with NIH, we want to do that, and the NIH awarded us with $2.7 million to start that division as well. So we got, in addition to open that financially, we got a extra boost from NIH financial support as well.
and as I see on your homepage, the first drug you use or you try to implement in the pet field is the one uh, for acute pancreatitis, right? Is
Correct.
it the same drug? Because on the homepage it's also called RABI-767. Or do you have to adjust it? Do you have to adjust it for the pets?
So we have to adjust it. So the active ingredient is the same, but the we called it something called it formulation and
Yeah,
different.
for
So
sure.
so actually now we are in the process to changing the drugs to make it more suitable for dogs. So that's kind
Okay.
of where we process, and we hope within 1 to 2 months our first dog patient will receive the drug. So the active ingredient is the same. It's RABI 767. However, that the drug will be different. The product of drug is different.
Okay, get it. And is there the process to go on market, to go to market? Is it the same process, or is it a little bit faster if it's a drug for animals?
It is faster and cheaper, obviously.
Okay.
So it is faster, and also because we already did a lot of research in a human, that's also already give us a lot of boost because we have a lot of scientific data and a lot of regulatory, a lot of manufacturing data. So it is faster. And also there's other advantage because it's you have to know also regulatory very well. Like any other industry, you have to know your regulatory landscape. Because
Yeah.
it's unmet need, there is no treatment for dog as well for this disease, and there is significant number of dogs. In the US, there is a few million, over 2 million dogs getting acute pancreatitis every year
Every year.
in US alone. So that's big number and big problem again for even dog population, for pet owners as well. This is again very costly. A lot of pets die. So because of that, there is advantage, regulatory advantage for us. We get hopefully we will be on the track. We're targeting to become on the track. We called it fast approval track. So we hope to be on that track to be more faster, and this will be because it's a shorter time. We have our company, we have the potential to advance all this is all the way to the market, and potentially maybe we sell it on the market directly.
So sounds really great. And if it's, of course, it's a very it's a side product, let's say, from your main research, but it makes totally sense to also go to market with a drug for animals, and you would support a lot of people with animal owners, pet owners. Um, let's go talk a little bit about, let's say, the organizational part of your company. Can you tell us a little bit, let's say, facts and numbers about your company? How many employees do you have? I understood you started the company in 2019, so it's only 5, 6 years old. It's not that old. But you cannot do that alone with your brother, right? I mean, your brother, you said he's the smart one, but even if he's really, really smart, you cannot do all this research by only two people. S- I would think that you have by now uh, some employees. Maybe can you tell us a little bit about that? Uh, how did you do the recruiting, and how many employees do you have? What are they doing? How are the functions?
So we depend. We are actually three co-founder. In addition to my brother, we have a friend of mine who started the Duke together. Or we have been working together since my first job at the Duke. So we've been blessed by meeting good people, and he's a professor at the Duke University. He's the chief scientist officer as well, Dr. Greg Palmer. We established the team first to depend on your founder, what you can bring. Uh, it happened for us. We grew in the period of COVID, so we were unique. We grew up in period of COVID. We were actually formed in the 2019, and then in early 2000, after our first Series A, the COVID hit. So we have to adapt very fast. So very early in our company, we becoming more. We were forced to think that way, virtually and heavy outsourcing, because operation in COVID, as you know, it was very nightmare, and we didn't
Yeah,
want to focus on operation. So we very early we pivoted to become more heavy on outsourcing, on manufacturing, on the research. So we maintain the capability of designing the research to
yeah,
design. So we have all the key people, and then we outsource it for other institutions to conduct the work. So all the intellectual property work, everything was with us, and then all the outsourcing, everything we will outsource. That was kind of how we started, and we were forced. That was the only way we can move ahead during the COVID. And after COVID, just it was a good model for us, was working, and we continue. We continue. So we are very heavy outsourcing, and our team is distributed. Actually, they are geographically from maybe over 7, 8 states in the US and also in Canada. We have office also in Canada, Montreal, with several people in Montreal. We have people who we hired recent people from Europe and Poland. So we are our people is we continue that virtual model after COVID, and obviously we're working with a lot of multiple hospital centers, and we travel a lot, and we do. So we kept that model, and it has been working very well for us.
Okay, very interesting. Um, so you are focusing on the research part and on the part where your let's say core competences, and everything else you outsource because you say other companies or other partners have their strength there, and you will just focus on what you can do best.
Yes,
Um,
it is higher, it is service, right? So when we do
yeah,
manufacturing for us synthesis, tell them synthesize the drug in this way. Taste the derival the drug in mice 4 times a week. You measure the tumor, do that. So it is more on service provider. The operation more or less, if you control it in different good way, even when you outsource, you can control it. So they are the instead of having that workers to conduct the work you design, basically you give it to this company to become basically higher work, basically. So.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Maybe we can. I would like to talk a little bit with you about your, let's say, your relations and connections among our community. I'm pretty sure you heard about WMAS, World Medical Association of Syria.
Of
Um,
course.
and as far as I know, you also attended the last conference, which was in Sweden. Um, can you tell us a little bit about that? How did you like the conference last year? And will you attend this year also in Tor Abdin? I think this one, the conference will be in Mardin and Midyat.
So any effort to bring our people together, I encourage it. Like yourself, like kind of any effort to bring our people and to share resource. Because as you mentioned very early, I met a lot of people, physician, very, very great physicians. I didn't know about them. I didn't know about their work. And maybe a lot of them didn't know about what we were doing. So any gathering to bring us together is a huge benefit for us. And hopefully we'll come to the point bringing resource together and also working as a one to increase the impact, our impact as a people. So definitely I'm for it. I'm extremely support of all of this effort, and it was very, very pleasure, and it was extremely nice for my brother Rabi and I. We both attended Sweden, so it was extremely nice, and we thank all that organizers. It was a lot of work for organizer to do all this effort. So we like to support all, not just as a physician, but any business entrepreneur, student. As a family, we have also actually non-profit foundation called the Saidi and Elias Hanna Foundation. It
Okay.
support education. And I'm personally, and as our family, we are big in education because that's one of the tools kind of to make you accelerate in this DNA. So we support the education part of VEMAS for education and entrepreneurial part of any other business or any other network as well.
Okay. As you know, and maybe our audience also, we, Kano, together with Professor Dr. Fuad Dunshu, we founded together in 2017 WMAS. Of course, the foundation, the preparation period was 2 years. So, the first conference, nobody knew the idea. We had no real connections to the people. Kano, of course, had already a history of more than 10 years let's say, among our community, and Professor Dr. Dunshu was also very known. So it was possible. The Patriarch of the Syrian Orthodox Church attended also the first conference. So, and we are really grateful for the board of WMAS that they are continuing and having every year conference. We are looking forward to the next conference in Mardi, Midyat, I think in this year in October, mid of October. And if you are there, uh, I wish you really a lot of pleasure there also, and hopefully you will make some new connections. Can you tell us a little bit about your foundation, which your family had? You just mentioned it. Um, what is the goal of the foundation? What are you doing there? Can maybe the audience support you? Or can you tell us a little bit about your foundation?
So, Saidi and Elias Hanna Foundation, it has been established almost 6 years by now, and all our effort was focusing for obvious reason in Athro, in Qamishli, especially for because of all this challenging for student from early student in our elementary, middle, high school, and even for our university school. There was a lot of challenges, I mean, challenges as you cannot get books, you cannot get backpack, teacher cannot get it sometimes salary, student cannot go even to educate. Also they don't have the resource. So that was kind of we try. Our ultimate goal, we wanted to be a little bit more to bring more advanced knowledge, like artificial intelligence and other type of knowledge to empower our people. But very early when we started working in Syria, there was the need to have to establish the foundation. There was a lot of need that even basic necessity for education was not there. So we spent a lot of resource and time, and that's actually the effort for the foundation is led mostly by my father. My father is still active
Okay.
in the community, extremely active. As I mentioned, my father was chairman of commerce and industry back in Qamishli and Hasake. So he
Yeah.
still has his business running there. So he's still actively supporting the people in many ways, and he is leading the foundation and leading that effort as he knows most people there, and he knows all the player, and he's in constant communication with all the organization, parties, churches, all of that players on the ground, and try to help in any way we can. But our main goal is how to advance and accelerate education for our people.
And can you tell us a little bit about the situation in Syria, since your father has really good connections on the ground there? Um, just, I mean, a lot of Syrioi, our people, left the homeland, especially also in the last years since 2011. There's war in Syria. Even now, with the new uh, um, administration, with the new government, Ahmed al-Shara and let's say, his party, who are now in the government and governing Syria, but still, let's say, for our community, it's a very unstable situation. It's not like the war is over. It's really still unstable, at least from our point of view in Europe or in the diaspora. Um, what is your information there? How's the situation right now? Is it getting better? Is it stable? What can you tell us about this?
So, situation in Syria, maybe most of our people are familiar with it. Kind of almost everyone has relation. I think there is the big fear of the future about unknown and instability, which is our enemy number one. When there is no instability, there is no law to regulate the life. So people are afraid for very obvious reason. And one things in the history teach us in Middle East, usually there's no change for better. Rarely you can see any change for better. Usually any change bring even more troublesums for our people. And then take years for our people to adopt and for things to get improved. And then if there's other change, usually get bad. So traditionally changes is bad for us in Middle East. Uh, But like any things in business, I mean, I think we should our people should take it as a as a challenge, like the same challenge when migrate to Europe and the US. We needed to adopt with the good, with the bad, with our new land. I mean, not everything we love about US, not everything we love about Germany. So it's not take it in the way of what was things. This is the challenge today, and how I will make it best things I can do in this new environment. There is I mean, if there is good things, but I mean, relieving of sanctions. Maybe now there is more open. The country become more, as a Syrian, becoming more open to the international community, which is could be bad or good. If we can see it in different way, but it could bring some economic opportunity to elevate some of the financial suffering of the people, general people in Syria, and maybe also that will help indirectly our people in land, because the financial suffering is very big in Syria right now. So I mean, it is extremely challenging. The fear, the radicalizations, it is big. So it is, unfortunately, it is not a new challenge to our people, but it is very tough time, and hopefully we can navigate it in a way not to be insulated from it and to be far from it, but more think carefully about how to navigate it, and we can be part of the solution and how to make it better for our people who lives there.
Okay. Thank you also. I mean, you see, or maybe everybody can do a little to better the situation. And even if the situation right now is very difficult, but the support from outside, from our diaspora is, I think, very important for our people there to manage to stay there, even if
Correct.
we have not, let's say, a huge political power and not, of course, not a huge military power or hardly no military power, let's say. But at least if we support financially and give them a perspective, I think it supports already a lot. And maybe, hopefully, our diaspora will also organize so we can have also politically a little bit more influence, at least in the diaspora, to support. Because we see right now, let's say, the USA just lifted the sanctions on Syria. We see in Europe they're at least organizing a lot of um, funds for Syria to support Syria, the rebuilding of Syria, and and our people, if we are organized, I would say in our diaspora, if we are better organized, we can also have an influence on the policy here to help Syria, but also help Syria, the whole country, but also not forget our people there.
Yeah, and we are. I mean, I'm proud to always say, I'm a Christian, I'm a Syrian, I'm Syrio, so I will help my home and my people first. So I'm not. I mean, I'm helping all Syria, but I'm not ashamed to say that's my home. If I have to take care of my home, my people, my city first, and if everyone does that, Syria will be good. That doesn't make me less Syrian to work when I support Syria people in Qamishli doesn't make me less Syrian, doesn't care about Syria. So no.
Yeah, yeah, no, no,
And the
I
need is
totally
need.
agree. But what I
Yeah,
said is,
yeah,
if if Europe or Germany
yeah.
decided to have a fund for rebuilding Syria, if we have if we take our role as our community here in Germany or in Europe, we can have influence that these funds go also a little bit part of them,
Correct,
especially for our people. That was my point, because
correct,
they are funding and supporting the new regime because they say we want to give the new regime a chance to prove themselves that they are not radical, that they are inclusive. They want to give them a chance because of different reasons. I think we don't have to dig deep
yeah,
into
yeah,
that. But my call for our community, especially for all the Syrioi who are active, politically active, maybe we can use our influence here so that part of this support will also benefit our people in
correct.
Syria. That
100,
was my
100%,
message.
100%, 100% support that message, Andros.
Yeah. Okay, we had we had a very nice interview, I would say, very nice conversation. We talked about your upcoming in Syria, how important, how much influence it had, and you had a very nice life in Qamishli. Me, myself, I was 2009 and 2010 in Qamishli, and I really liked it because I had family in Qamishli and in Qabri Hewari. I really loved Qamishli and also Qabri Hewari because it has um, in Syria we say روح سريته. So you could feel it's a place of our people. You had all the shops and the restaurants of our people. You went out in the streets, you saw our people. You don't see that anywhere else. So at least I never experienced that in like this in Qamishli. A little bit Södertälje has also a little bit this flavor, this but not like Qamishli. And even when I was in Midyat or in Nusaybin, it's different because Midyat, Nusaybin, Tur Abdin is more or less empty. We have 3,000, maybe 4,000 people living in whole Tur Abdin. In Qamishli, I think in 2010 we had, I don't know, 20, 30, 40,000. I don't know the numbers, but a lot of Syrioi, their whole districts in Qamishli where there were like more or less more of all of them Syrioi or Armenian, and we had uh, really nice. So we talked about that. And in 2005, you moved to the US with your brother Rabi. In 2019, you founded Lamassu BioTech. And now, 6 years later, you're, let's say, very close to bring on one or at least one or maybe two drugs. It's a really fast your development, and I'm very positive that you will have a really good future. I wish you the best for you and your brother and your whole family, and of course for our community. I will come to my last question, and then we can finish this interview. If if you have let's assume that you and your brother will have an IPO in 3 years, for example, and you have a big press conference, and at the end of the press conference, you want to give to the world, and especially for our community, one message in one sentence. What did what would this sentence be?
Dream big, dream big, but keep your foot on the ground. Don't lift your foot on the ground and dream big. All the things will work to help you. You know, you have natural advantage to make things big. And if you dream, we have one life on this earth, make it worth it. Make a big journey and don't forget from where you came and don't lift your foot on the ground.
I think this is a perfect ending. Thank you very much, Rabi, for your time. Um, Sorry, Gabi. I said Rabi. We talked so much about your brother. Maybe next time we have to do also an interview with him. Thank you very much, Gabi, for your time, and I wish you the best for you, your family, your 5 kids. Next time, maybe we can talk about the 5 kids and how you manage being father, husband, and uh, educating and the 5 kids, and being at the same time having a being CEO of Lamasu BioTech. It's a huge challenge, I would say. But let's talk about this maybe another time.
Todi Indraus, Todi Shaggy, I enjoyed it so much. It is great to be connect with you and your group and to learn also about you, and that's kind of bring us more closer. And hopefully, people learned something from our journey. And always, anyone has more question, always happy to help any people in our field or any other field as well.
Okay, maybe one last question. If somebody wants to connect with you, what's the best way to connect with you?
So either through email or maybe LinkedIn. So this will be the best, maybe two ways, either through email. My email is gabi.hanna@lamassobio.com, or through LinkedIn, you can search Gabi Hanna Lamasu.
Okay. بيرفكت. هودي ساقي جابي إله سنة وحثمينا بشكل أنا وإنترفيو ولا فجونا أيضا كمان إذا ما عجبكم إنترفيو أنا بوعوا سمو سبسكرايب لو channel أيضا مفصوحينا وبحال ضالوك تويلن هاو خفر صوفة حلينة خدو قابي بتحرسو أيضا محوينا له عام أيضا من فرصوفة كتلن من مكونة كتلن وكبعينا بتحرس ثاثي كلن صبروا وحنفارج أتحرسوا ثاني مفتاكر سنة من حيلو كيبن هويلن إذا في الحين محذوذي من حيلو كيبن هويلن إذا مصرينا أفرسوا ثاني كله بحذوذي إذا حافرسوا فوق كيبن موطي لو درغانو محذوذي كيبن موطينا عسري كوري درغو عليتر يعني هانو يو تروح مرن يقايو كسمينا التحرس ثاني لو باش لشان ويلن تروي تحرسو باسمتو او مملو باسيمو بيلا باسيمو كنا قحا ميتاصر انفاسو في حاثي حاكو موزد ويلفوني إذا قد شكل مدرسته إلو كرحمينا السنة وبينا لو بوبو لو عميدا ومفتكرين ليكو كمان موطينا إذا في الحين سامح ذو ذكيتو خبرو كمي تبعد موطة خايفو لدكتو مالخ روحو تبعد موطة راحوقو حزيلو حوروني أنا قادينا كبعينا موطينا خد عامو راحوقو لازم حزينا لنحوروني وفي الحين محدودي كمان أوقع فحمينا حثمينا إتحرسو تودي ساقنا قحريتو ويوم باسيمو
يا مباسم. توش بشلومو.
تودي